is everyone doing on this day? आज का दिन है वेंसडे. बंदे का नाम है जेमी ऑल्टर और आप फिर से जुड़े हैं मेरे साथ यहाँ alternate view chat show में. Today's show, friend of mine is on very soon. Today's guest Ashwin Krishnan, head of sports marketing at Oakley, a proper cricket fan, a proper cricket analyst. You can see him across, and he's been on many news channels as a guest, sharing his view. Most recently on India Ahead News. He's also got a YouTube channel, hashtag Sports, where he does cricket reviews. He also does some funny videos as well. So he's someone who I'm really looking forward to speak today. आज का जो टॉपिक है दोस्तों, ये इस चीज को लेके बहुत सारी चर्चा हुई है पिछले 2-3 हफ्तों में, स्पेशली फ्रॉम फॉर्मर प्लेयर्स द लाइक्स ऑफ रवि शास्त्री, वसीम अकरम. प्रज्ञान ओझा वाज ऑन दिस शो ऑन मंडे हियर विद मी एंड ही आल्सो शेयर्ड हिज व्यूज. मुद्दा है दोस्तों वन डे क्रिकेट, खासकर बायलैटरल वन डे क्रिकेट का हेल्थ और फ्यूचर. क्यों इतने सारे प्लेयर्स इस मुद्दे को लेके कह रहे हैं कि वनडे क्रिकेट बंद कर दो, बायलैटरल क्रिकेट बंद कर दो. वसीम अकरम, I mean, a legend who made his name really in in the white ball format, the red ball format, playing one day cricket specifically. Um, when he says, as a commentator, he finds one day cricket boring, it's a wake up call. We also have Ben Stokes' retirement. Isi baat pe, let's get Ashwin onto the show right now. I've got his join request. Let's bring him on. तो स्वागत करिए पहली बार अश्विन कृष्णन का here on the alternate view with me, your host, Jamie Alder.
Am I okay? I need to get this down a bit.
A little bit down. I can hear you just fine, Ashwin. थोड़ा सा headroom अगर आप कम कर देंगे.
Is that fine?
Perfect. Perfect, my friend.
Lovely.
How are you?
Good to see you, Jamie. Good to see you.
It's been a while. I've been following you on India Ahead News and your YouTube channel. So always nice to hear you. Thanks for taking our time. How's your day been so far, Ashwin?
Say that again. Sorry, I missed that.
How's your day been so far?
Day's been a little hectic, running around, but that's how a day should be, I think.
I think I have to agree with you. I know you had a bank run. I also had a bank run. मेरा काम तो नहीं हुआ. Hopefully you had more success with yours.
It's SBI, so you can be sure नहीं हुआ मेरा भी काम.
मैं तो RBL गया था और HDFC गया था, दोनों सर्वर डाउन. मैंने कहा ठीक है, दो बैंक्स का एक ही मार्केट में सर्वर डाउन. डिजिटल इंडिया गो.
Correct. I reached the bank before everybody else, and nobody was there. And then I waited half an hour. Nobody was there, and I said, "Look, I have to leave." That was it. This was after the bank was open. Technically.
ये अच्छा है. But again, thanks for taking our time. Already we have some viewers, some regular viewers saying welcome, Ashwin. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks. So it's a pleasure being here. It's a pleasure being with Jamie and all of you.
Lovely. तो for our viewers' sake, in case some of our viewers don't know कि हम आज का टॉपिक लेके क्यों बात कर रहे हैं, the health of ODI cricket, Ashwin, and our viewers has been debated pretty fiercely by several leading former players. We've seen the likes of Wasim Akram saying that, as a commentator, I'm getting bored watching it. Ravi Shastri, the bombastic Ravi Shastri, we've all seen his statements. Of course, Ben Stokes' retirement was a big wake-up call. But Ashwin, I want to rewind to last year, a rather low-key at the time announcement by the ICC that they were in effect doing away with the ODI Super League, which means that effectively teams like South Africa, West Indies, Sri Lanka, इनके लिए direct qualification to the World Cup is not so straightforward. But more than that, and we'll come to this, for me, when I read that news, the context has grown so much because it took away a lot of the relevance, in my view, Ashwin, of bilateral series between the two World Cups. Your thoughts on this, on the scrapping of the Super League?
Well, it's obviously done with a commercial interest in mind. There's no question at all because see, technically, scrapping a Super League is, like you say, is effectively put paid not entirely, but to a great extent to South Africa, West Indies, all these other teams who are not in the top, not in the reckoning yet. So. Well, see, the idea is ODI should survive. I personally believe ODI should survive. And T20s have to survive alongside that. And I'm not of the view that you should have one team playing Test cricket, one team playing ODI cricket, one team playing T20 cricket at the same time. That
Sure.
doesn't make sense. So ideally, that dilutes the quality of cricket. That means you're not fielding your best side. So maybe this move by ICC has been one keeping the future of ODI cricket in mind. Because to my mind, World Cup should survive. because you can't do away with the World Cup, because everything India has done in the 1983 World Cup, 2011 World Cup will be put paid to. So ideally, that's it's. I think it's a move in the right direction, but they should handle it carefully.
Exactly, and that is in effect what not enough people are saying. We're just getting statements like "isko band karo," kya karna, kya karna chahiye. How many people inside the ICC, inside the major stakeholder boards, are actually looking at the health of one-day cricket? Now, of course, at the age of 31, when a Ben Stokes says कि भाई मुझसे नहीं हो पाएगा, that's a wake-up call. पर अगर हमारे viewers हैं जिनको नहीं पता कि शायद ये ODI league क्या है, the ODI league, my friends, was put in place so that other teams, the smaller teams, could also get a chance to compete. What it also means is, and I know that you know this, is that teams who are not the host nation are not now directly qualifying, right? It was given that you're going to play 12, eight series of 3 matches, 4 home, 4 away, like we just discussed. Now that puts pressure on teams like South Africa, Sri Lanka, West Indies, who are not direct qualifiers. You mentioned 83, you mentioned 2011. It was, to my mind, unthinkable not too long ago, Ashwin, that teams like the West Indies and South Africa and Sri Lanka, inconceivable that they would be in a fight to make a one-day World Cup.
But look at it this way: South Africa aren't helping their own cause. They've pulled
They're
out of
not.
the Australia series. I mean, that's an opportunity they had. But of course, they've done
Yeah.
it for a commercial reason, because the board is one of the poorer boards, unfortunately. And I'm told that, obviously the investment that's gone into the league technically would not be there if the top players weren't playing. So that's money in the coffers that's gone. So technically, they will obviously look at keeping cricket alive in South Africa rather than I mean, it's wrong technically. If you ask me,
Yeah.
they should have gone, but it's a commercial interest, and it's also probably done keeping the interest of cricket South Africa and the future of the sport in that country.
When you said, they're obviously they have that T20 league coming up, जिसमें overseas investment बहुत है, and they've probably, I mean, it's a risk, Ashwin, but it's a risk they have taken, with calculation. They have already said कि what we stand to gain is far more than XYZ bilateral series. But you still have a major team like South Africa who, we've seen them from the time they brought back into cricket. Any one day World Cup since 92 onward, even the last one, you talk about them as being potential winners. ये अलग बात है कि they always, the word choke has been bandied about. They've stumbled for their own good, their own misjudgment. They've not won the World Cup, but they've always been considered a contender. Can you imagine a World Cup where, I think now they're number 11, they could still make it, but a World Cup without a top team, is this setting a dangerous precedent going forward?
It is. It is. It will affect the quality of cricket. End of the day, it will definitely affect the quality of cricket. But what surprises me, and it does and it doesn't. But South
Huh.
Africa must have been in a corner where they're chosen between the possibility of not playing the World Cup and vis-a-vis the possibility of having a successful domestic league and filling up their coffers. So this
बिल्कुल.
is a call they've taken. Clearly, they would have definitely thought of both options. They would have weighed it up, and they've taken a call keeping that in mind. I'm sure they believe that despite this, they can try to come back and make the World Cup. It's not that they don't want to play the World Cup, but it's a harsh call, especially when you're placed 11th.
Exactly.
Correct.
I mean, it's huge, and I mean, it's this coupled with Quentin de Kock's comments about how all three formats are going to be very hard for top players uh, to survive in. For me, it's a wake up call. But like you said, they obviously believe that they have enough money in the gas to make up from these losses here. Let's now come to the big news. I'm going to bring up this guy's picture on our screens here. Ben Stokes. And when we see Ben Stokes, I get it. He's an all-rounder. He's, the strain on an all-rounder is the most. I think keepers and all-rounders playing three formats. When it happened, he made that comment, we're not cars, you cannot fill us up with petrol. That's an eye-popping, headline-grabbing. We're both in the media. We know that ऐसे comments क्या eyeballs लाते हैं. But उसके बाद, I'm going to quote Owen Morgan here for our viewers as well. Owen Morgan, only World Cup winning English captain, says, I think the huge line in the sand is Ben retiring at the tender age of 31. उसके बाद Nasser Hussain termed the current cricket schedule as quote unquote crazy. Are we reaching a point, Ashwin, where the multi-format, multi-dimensional player is going to have to choose between formats? Is it becoming unsustainable in your view?
See, Jamie, from having worked in the IPL for so long, I can tell you that what kills the players is not so much the cricket; it's the traveling, it's the training, it's all that around cricket. You know, it's not that they're being teleported from one place to the other and they just have to play cricket. All
Huh.
this and the stresses of playing professional sport. If you play so much of cricket and you're playing it continuously and you're expecting your top players to keep playing continuously, first of all, the quality of cricket will come down. Even their output will come down. Ben
बिल्कुल.
Stokes has actually said, I listened to an interview of his where he said that he's not able to give 100%. He says, as an all rounder, I want to give 100%. If I can't give 100%, I'd rather not block somebody else's path who can give 100%. So I'm being unfair to my team, unfair to my captain, unfair to myself as a cricketer. I'd rather play the kinds of format and the amount of cricket that where I know I'm giving 100%. And like you say, he's an all-rounder. He's a batsman and a bowler. So technically, he's a four. He's and a you can kind of escape the fact that he's
बिल्कुल.
fielding all day. So he's involved all the time. There's probably just a few handful of overs where he's not involved. That is a lot of cricket for a guy to play day in and day out, and he's the test captain to add to everything else. So there's a lot of expectation and pressure from him, pressure on
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. I think I mean, I agree with all you're saying. My initial reaction, Ashwin, was that here's a guy who will always forever be associated with the 2019 One Day World Cup final, the only World Cup which England ever won. And 15 months on from the time they have to defend that, their most valuable player is saying, कि भाई मुझसे और नहीं होगा. Big statement, wake up call for everyone involved. Do you think also it's a decision based a little bit on the bio bubble fatigue and perhaps the insecurity of how with the pandemic things could go in the next 2 years as well?
It's a mix of that and the financial element. See, end of the day, a cricketer's lifespan is short, right? He can't play till he's even 40 is unthinkable nowadays. So Ben
Bilkul.
Stokes is 31. So to my mind, if he carried on like this, he'd have played till max 35, unless he dropped two formats and played only Test cricket, because that's what the English usually do. So the bio bubble is also adding to a lot of fatigue. See, if you it even if you're physically fit, it tires your mind out. The bio bubble tires your mind out. If you're not there mentally, you cannot perform physically. So that's what the bio bubble does. So mentally, if you're jaded, then you don't want to do it. Then you need a break. It's pretty much like what Virat Kohli is going through right now. He's mentally jaded. His ability is not diminished at all.
Yeah,
So
he's not.
that's what's hitting Stokes, and Stokes has taken a call on it.
Yep. You brought up Virat Kohli. We'll get there, but these two gentlemen here on our lock screen viewers, इन दोनों रवि शास्त्री और वसीम अकरम इन दोनों ने कहा था recently about ODIs. I mentioned at the start of the show कि वसीम अकरम ने हाल ही में कहा था, Ashwin, you know, कि as a commentator, I find ODI cricket boring. This is a man who, when I think of Wasim Akram, I first think of his achievements in ODI cricket and then Test cricket. 92 World Cup, he was those two balls in the final. Of course, all his success. 503 छह उन्होंने विकेट लिए. 99 World Cup, Pakistan had a great chance. He was the captain. So for me, Wasim Akram is in many ways Mr. One Day Cricket. He said this, and now Shastri, and I quote, cut the number of test teams. Paramount importance has to be given to the World Cups in 50 over and T20. The bucks have to increase for players to still want to be part of those. And he goes on to say, this is Shastri, expand teams in T20 or one day cricket if you want to spread the game, but reduce the teams in test cricket so you have to qualify for the top six if you want to be playing test matches. Test cricket tests you, you need quality. So if there's no quality, then who's going to watch it? A drastic and dramatic statement from someone like Shastri, which you expect. Your thoughts on what he's saying about reducing test teams?
100%, 100% agree with him, because
Okay,
see, a
okay.
test team, a test match is for 5 days. The broadcasters paid for those 5 days. People have paid, whoever has bought a season ticket, or whoever has, you see, the last part of the 5 days, say day three, day four, usually are on a weekend, right? If your test match gets over in 2 days or 2.5 days, which is mostly the case when poor teams play because they are unable to handle the quality of opposition, one team is good and the other isn't, or the wickets are such that they seam and they spin around, it's a big problem, and they cannot last. If they don't last, it takes everything away, and the quality of cricket will drop. People will lose interest. There is nothing like a great test match. The test match that Australia Pakistan played in 2022, where Babar Azam and Mohammad Rizwan and Abdullah Shafiq, they shaved the test for them. They put 443 odd runs. It could have gone anyway. Pakistan could have won, Australia could have won, it could have gone. That is how you want test cricket to be, to attract crowds. And test cricket is like the foundation of a building. You build your one day cricket on top of that, and the last floor is T20, because the longer the format, the more your skills are tested. So you need to have the cream playing the longest format and percolating down to the rest. Up, if you can take the example of a building.
Bilkul. And just to take this forward, also from a commercial perspective, you have a lot of knowledge about this. You've seen how these things work. Is the one day cricket still going to be able to survive? Because it's because the World Cup, like I said, World Cup is still the pinnacle. Probably more than T20. अगर आजकल कोई युवा खिलाड़ी पहला कदम ले रहा है, it's still for the nation winning a World Cup perhaps still ranks higher than anything. A one-day World Cup, and given the amount of ads which you can pack in, way more than in a T20. Is that perhaps one sliver of hope for the format? The commercial aspects involved.
It is, but then वर्ल्ड कप को थोड़ा चेंज करना पड़ेगा. यू नीड टू
Hmm.
प्ले
Hmm.
अराउंड द फॉर्मेट. जैसे कि
Hmm.
10वें 15वें ओवर से लेके आप 40वें ओवर तक देखो, तो कोई नहीं देखना चाहता. इनफैक्ट मेरे ख्याल से फील्डर भी सो रहे होंगे. तो द पॉइंट इज यू रियली नीड टू रिहैश इट. कैसे कर सकते हैं? एक कॉन्सेप्ट हो सकता है कि आप
Hmm.
25-25 के 4 इनिंग, आई मीन ईच टीम प्लेस 2 इनिंग्स. ऐसे करो, फर्स्ट से ऑस्ट्रेलिया प्लेस 25 overs, then India plays
Yep.
25 overs, and then 25 and 25. Have 4 new balls. What's the problem? In any case,
Yep.
a kookaburra ball doesn't last the distance. So you
Correct.
can do that. You can make it exciting. You can make it four, two T20 games or two T25 games. Technically, that's how people
Yeah.
will want to watch it. What is the problem in one day cricket? The middle, which Wasim Akram just mentioned. Nobody wants to
Yep.
sit through that. So scrap that and make it exciting. This is just a thought. I mean, may not do
Yeah.
it, but there are other ways to do it.
Exactly. This is the time, Ashwin, to have these talks, at the top level. Ke kya hai? We've seen, Sachin weighed in many years ago about two balls. We've seen that, I had Pragyan Oja on the show on Monday. He was saying, hey, do that. Let's try and get back the reverse swing. So many factors when it comes to this once beloved format. But again, it's a sign of the times, the challenging, the leagues. I mean, you worked with the IPL. When the IPL first came, I think one of the first fears or apprehensions that many purists and even non-purists had is, अगर ये लीग सक्सेसफुल होगा, एंड बैक इन 2008 देयर वाज इनफ एविडेंस कि ये लीग बहुत साल तक चलने वाला है, एटलीस्ट 10 साल. अब तो 14-15 साल हो गए. इट वाज द fear was, what is the ICC doing to accommodate such leagues, and what is the offshoot of all these other T20 leagues popping up? How big of a threat are these leagues? Because you mentioned, players have a right, इनका हक बनता है पैसे कमाने के लिए, and no one should, grudge them that. But with the mushrooming of all these leagues, what has the ICC done towards the calendar? I mean, Nasser Hussain called the calendar crazy.
Actually, what has happened is, I think COVID has hastened this call for ODIs to be scrapped. COVID has hastened it because the
Yep.
bio bubble has ensured that अगर आप 10 दिन टूर पे हो तो वो 17 दिन हो जाते हैं. तो बिकॉज ऑफ दैट एवरीथिंग इज एक्सटेंडेड. सब इलास्टिक की तरह खींच के एक्सटेंड हो गया. तो दैट इज द ओनली रीजन. अदरवाइज टेक्निकली वन डे क्रिकेट, सी दूसरी बात यह है कि प्लेयर्स जो हैं उनको उनकी फैमिलीज हैं. आजकल सबकी
बिल्कुल.
फैमिलीज हैं, तो दे वांट टू स्पेंड टाइम विद देयर फैमिलीज. अगर वो कहता है कि तुझे 3 महीने में you will make 25 crores, vis-a-vis you're playing 10 months away from the house and you're making 5 or 6 crores, he will go for the other option. Someone like Yuzvendra Chahal doesn't want to play test cricket. Can you believe it? He doesn't want to play test cricket. He says, get me to play this format because it's a very, and he's right in every way to decide that. There's
बिल्कुल.
no one can say that. But you have to make it enticing. That is where the boards and the administrators come in. You have to make it enticing. ICC comes in. You have to change the format. Everything is about reinventing itself. In marketing, if a product is successful, it is phased out. Why? Because you want to change, work on it, and do something else. So that's what you need to do in cricket.
Yeah. And just to pick up on what you're saying with change, I mean, you watched as much cricket as I have, probably more. I don't recall any other sport. I mean, we've seen tennis, baseball, football. Perhaps no other sport has gone through so much change as our beloved cricket. But itna tinkering hua is formats. The traditional Test cricket, 100 साल के बाद, one day cricket game. We've seen T20, T10. Despite all these changes, we're still at a point where हम उस मुद्दे के बारे में बात करें कि यार वन डे फॉर्मेट का फ्यूचर क्या है. Has the ICC not been proactive enough, or are they handcuffed because of the top three boards? You mentioned कि साउथ अफ्रीका एक टाइम पे टॉप 4 पे था, वो आजकल नहीं है. Is it purely commercial? What could the ICC have done to avoid matters like this?
See, it's very clear. Joe, the three boards that are there, India, Australia, and England, have the money. It's very clear. But every board has a different agenda. If you ask Ireland, they're not really interested in Test cricket. If you ask India, India is interested in growing Test cricket. But if you ask the associate nations, whoever comes in, their jobs they want to play T20 cricket, one day cricket, grow there, and they're not really interested in Test cricket because they know somewhere deep inside that they don't belong there yet, even though they may have
Hmm.
qualified. They know somewhere that they don't belong there yet, but they know that they want to compete in this and make, even they have their players coming and playing all our leagues, the IPL, the Big Bash, XYZ. So even they are more focused there, but there are some nations who are focused towards Test cricket. So it's a horses for courses situation. ICC, see, maybe in 2008 ICC didn't see this mushrooming into something so massive where every country will have a league. And forget that, even within India, every sport has a league thanks to the IPL. So nobody
Yeah.
saw that coming. Yeah, nobody saw that coming. People thought, IPL is there, chalo, it's another tournament, it'll go on, and then and people may play it, people may not play it because before that, if you remember, the T20 World Cup took place, 2007. So
Yes.
T20 had already arrived, and even before that, T20 had already arrived. Nobody thought it would take. It's going the English cricket, English football way. So nobody thought that would come in, but it has. So you've just got to deal with it. Now ICC is now got to do whatever they can to salvage it.
Yeah. I'm going to bring up a quote here by Mark Butcher, who
Mhm.
the former England captain. Sorry, this is the Nasser Hussain one. Sorry, I brought the wrong one up because I was reading this yesterday और मुझे काफी हैरानी लगा कि you think of one day cricket and the role that England has had ever at a T20. The first T20 started in England in 2003-4. He said here, I think the future of 50 over cricket in this country, England, looks pretty bleak for several reasons. The obvious one is that the Royal London One Day Cup is now a second-rate competition. Again, a very, very key point. He's because so many players are off playing the 100 and all. It's been diluted, and it's because of that dilution that you've seen someone like a Krunal Pandya, Navdeep Saini now get chances. Because before, if England had all their players, हमारे Indian players को वहाँ मौका नहीं मिलता. He says the ones that are playing 50 over cricket are looking over the fence and thinking, I'd rather be doing something else. It's great for my development, I guess, but given the choice, I'd rather be playing international series. Exactly what you said, 5 crore or but 25 crore. No brainer that the guy will take that. You're kind of signing the death warrant of the 50 over game with the way it's being played. So, in essence, you have a person, a former England player turned media pundit saying कि भाई हमारे ही देश में शायद कुछ साल में 50 over cricket नहीं हो पाएगा. Do you think this is a reality, Ashwin?
Yes, if it's not reinvented, the first thing to die will be 50 over cricket because Test cricket will not die. It's a purest game and people are still interested in it. And there's an entire cricketing fraternity that's promoting it. And
Yeah.
T20 cricket is a commercial cricket. Not only do you play your T20 internationals, you also play your franchise cricket across the world. And everybody's playing everywhere. So everyone's happy, everyone's making money. So the first thing that will die if it's not supported is one day cricket, unless you rehash it.
Unless you rehash it. I had Pragyan Oja was on the show on Monday, and I had the same question that I'm asking you. क्या करना चाहिए? And he said, यार, हम जब छोटे थे तो between the World Cups we had, we had the championship, we had these tournaments, not tri series, but we had series जहाँ पे चार पांच टीमें आती थी या हम कहीं जाते थे, and he named, and I have the same rose tinted view of that from the 80s and 90s, as I'm sure you have. Is it commercially viable? We saw the PCB, Ramesh Raja, they gave the idea. I'm all for it because maybe this will prevent someone else like a Stoke saying, yaar, क्यों करूं? Give it context. Use the same formula you applied to the ICC Super League is to keep the qualification for the World Cups. But rather than have these 5 and 3 and 7 match contests between two people, bring back the tri series, bring back the quadrangular. Is that something you think could possibly help?
Definitely. I started watching cricket in 1985 when Australia, New Zealand, and India were playing. I can never forget that. Tri series
Very
are,
well.
are a blessing in disguise. Bring it back. It'll increase the involvement. The quality of cricket will go up. The engagement will go up. It's far better than a bilateral series. See, most of the time, I can tell
Absolutely.
you, we don't even know if a match is going on. We don't even know if a match is going on. I had to actually look into Cricket Info to see when the third ODI is.
Imagine.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it is. So you really need to work on it. You really need to rehash it because otherwise it'll die. And no, being a purist, I don't like one-day cricket. The concept of one-day cricket dying because one-day cricket is a little bit of Test cricket, a little bit of T20. It calls for skill sets that a normal T20 player cannot walk in and be sure of performing in a one-day game. I'm not taking names, but Surya Kumar Yadav, look at him. He played so brilliantly in the T20 thing, but one-day cricket calls for a little extra. Not to say he doesn't have it. He may get 100 Test hundreds, but the point is, it's a different format. It's not just coming there slamming. You really need to dig yourself in. You need to study the situation. Bowlers bowl differently. Field settings are different. Plans are different. So it's a different skill set. It's like chopping an entire skill set out of a game. That's not right.
Very very well said, and it was not without design that I brought up this picture जो आपको बिल्कुल याद होगा, and I hope our viewers remember this. 1996 Titan Cup जब अनिल कुंबले और जवाहरलाल श्रीनाथ, two batsmen, Ashwin, you know very well, were taken out of their comfort zone. They were put in the uncomfortable position of trying to take India over the line. आपके आपके 10 और 11, 9 10 11 इनके ऊपर ये नहीं था, but classic example of what you just said, a test. Maybe this will work in a T20, maybe not, but they had more time, more overs to face out in the mid 90s, jahan pe, India were a force to reckon with. And this image is one of the my most cherished ones from that era because it came not in a bilateral, it came in a multi-team tournament. And we've seen legends, cults, they are built from pressure situations, and more than a bilateral series, performances like this against top teams. मैं तो कह रहा हूं इनको वापस लाओ, bilaterals लाओ, quadrangular लाओ, but have the discussion sooner than later. Let the big three get involved. How can the big three buy into this concept? I think that's a big challenge facing the ICC.
Of course, see, the big three also have their three leagues, franchise leagues, right?
Yes.
They have that, so that will also come into play. So the big three have to be involved, wherein they will help balance the whole situation out because the franchise league has to survive. Now ICC has opened up a massive this thing in the calendar for franchise leagues, right? So that's going to not come.
Yes,
That's come to
yes,
play, no
bilkul.
question at all. So the big three have to be involved because they have deep pockets. They have to be involved and they have to take a call and they have to help save this one day format. This is what I believe. I don't know why I'm very for the one day format, but ICC has to help save it with the help of the big three.
Bilkul. Against all that we're talking about, Ashwin, we've had two very very close one days contested between India and the West Indies. चलिए मानते हैं कि five of our top players were not there. West Indies went into this series, I think, having won four of the last 15, 16 teams matches. So the contest, in a sense, was even. It's two matches that West Indies could have won, but not for a brilliant save by Sanju Samson and a couple loose shots here and there. इस सब के बीच जब ऐसा सीरीज, you can argue that these were two good matches, but एक तो first time इतिहास में, and as someone who's been involved in these kind of deals before, not being shown on a private network. फैन कोड जैसे ऐप पे आपको जाना पड़ेगा या डीडी का एचडी चैनल. Already I'm being asked कि भाई ये मैचेस कहाँ हो रहे हैं, and I am forwarding the same message saying कि फैन कोड. लोग पूछ रहे फैन कोड क्या है. अब जब फैन ही शब्द इंडियन क्रिकेट फैंस को समझ में नहीं आ रहा है, and these matches are ending at 3 4 in the morning, chaliye, but is despite that we're getting two pretty good contests. So there's life, I mean, to use a cliche, there's life in the old dog yet.
Of course, there's life in the old dog. If you notice, they were. I know there are 300 run scoring contests, but it's a very exciting format. However, I'd like to bring to your notice here that India should worry. I know we're digressing, but India should worry because if the Indian bowlers are giving away, I know there's no Bumrah and Shami, but I've mentioned this in an earlier show also. If the Indian
Yes,
bowlers are giving away 300 runs to this West Indian side, what are they going to do when the World Cup comes along? Okay, there's a Bumrah and there's a Shami, but then there are three bowlers who still need to bowl.
bilkul sahi, bilkul.
Right? So these contests are also, you can't read into it. I know it's an exciting contest and I know what you're saying is right, but the point is it can become a very one-sided contest if a good team comes along.
Absolutely. And that in itself also can attract certain eyeballs because we've seen that India win, लोग कुछ बोलते, India हारती भी तो शायद और लोग बोलते हैं. I'm going to pick this up. Keeping in mind 15 months now, Ashwin, we have a home World Cup, right? We went into last year's T20I World Cup in the UAE as favorites because वो हमारा home World Cup था, क्योंकि कोविड के पहले it was supposed to play in India. It's still a home thing. We India were the only team जिसकी सारे players उस squad से had played every single IPL match. It is a benefit that not all other teams had. उसके बाद दो मैच में against left arm spin and pace, your old problems came again, and that's why we were knocked out before that. Keeping in mind the one day format, there's still a lot of work for this Indian team to do. Forget T20, one day World Cup, the World Cup that is matters the most.
100%, 100%. First of all, you need to. I mean, see, the T20 World Cup is just around the bend, so no problem. उसमें कम से कम हमें just digressing a bit. उसमें हमें कम से कम अब तक अपना squad fix कर लेना चाहिए. अपना
बिल्कुल
playing level fix कर लेना चाहिए. You can tamper a little bit here and there, but you should fix it. But for the
बिल्कुल
big World Cup in 50 over World Cup, you must work right now and build the right strength sets, because you need fast bowlers. That's the most important thing. I know it's in India, you still need fast bowlers. You need that support, because that's the only thing we don't have a backup in. We got good spin strength, we got good batting strength. Our middle order is also good. We got enough options. Wicket keepers, we can play 4 wicket keepers in a team. So
Yep.
right now, so technically we really need to work on that, and we need to plan from now to get that thing going. But the question, yeah, your question is, will it survive after that?
And exactly this is what Pragyan was saying on Monday. The success for the 2011 World Cup was built around MS Dhoni's insistence that the majority of the top players play 35 to 40 matches उससे पहले. Greg Chappell had the same vision. अलग बात है कि 2007 में वो नहीं हुआ था वेस्ट इंडीज में, but you need to start planning minimum 18 महीने पहले, you know. And you're absolutely right. We need fast bowlers. There's no Bumrah, there's no Shami. But Apka Shardul is still seen as, you know, one of your best options. Mohammad Siraj, his rise has been terrific. I think he's still not a very good white ball bowler. But these are the core. उसके बाद अगर अर्शदीप है या हर्षल है या उमरान मलिक है, इनको अभी मौका दो, because you do not want to be giving maukas in February next year, Jan next year. अभी टाइम है अपने टीम को सुधारो.
करेक्ट. सी इंडिया बेसिकली को क्या करना चाहिए कि अभी 2 वर्ल्ड कप हैं, अब दे शुड प्लान एंड गिव their players the right amount of match practice before each World Cup in that format. एक बार T20 वर्ल्ड कप खत्म हो गया, आपका सारा ध्यान वनडे क्रिकेट में चला जाना चाहिए. उस टाइम आप T20
Correct.
खेलोगे तो कोई फायदा नहीं है. उस टाइम आप मतलब खेलो अपने बीच में जितने T20 इंटरनेशनल है, बट फोकस ऑन वनडे क्रिकेट, क्योंकि आप अपने कंट्री को वनडे क्रिकेट में आप होस्ट भी कर रहे हो. इट इज वेरी
बिल्कुल.
इंपॉर्टेंट. It's very important that you have a great squad and you do well, and it will be fabulous if you win. You cannot win by playing T20 just before ODI World Cup. You need to plan accordingly. So by killing ODIs, you're not helping it. So then you plan
Yep.
accordingly and change over to the other format as and when this world T20 World Cup gets over, and you take on from there.
I agree, and I think Ashwin, the team has been playing a lot more T20s because it is a T20 World Cup. You're ठीक है. But that said, you cannot forget कि भाई क्योंकि 12-15 महीने कहाँ कहाँ निकल जाते हैं. We all know. I'm going to seg because we have to bring up this topic in keeping in mind all that's gone on with the man who's going to show up here on our screens, as well as with the question about the workload. Virat Kohli. I had our common friend Jatin on the show a couple of weeks ago. I said, Jatin, given the fact that his slump has now hit an all-time low. He's 34 at the stage where many an athlete, better or worse than Virat Kohli, has had to decide कि भाई अभी मैं क्या करूं. अब इस बंदे के ऊपर प्रेशर बहुत है because he's Virat Kohli. He set the bar so blooming high. Like प्रज्ञान said, हम इसके 50-60 से हम खुश नहीं है. हम एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं कि ये 100 मारेगा. But he's a big draw in the IPL. He's the face of RCB. He plays that one league. He plays 3 formats. I asked Jatin, you know, would he have to perhaps quit the T20I format to prolong himself? He said no. Virat Kohli might quit the one-day format. If you see in a calendar, India is playing about 21 days a year, about 7 to 8 tests, and about 10 T20. So when they're playing the most ODIs, you might see him. And I was like, I hadn't thought about that because I figured he loves the one-day game so much. He'd be, you know, perhaps wanting to do that after the World Cup. Do you think it's possible that he would, if somebody put a gun to his head, drop the one-day format first?
I don't think so. I mean, do due credit to Jatin, I wouldn't think so, because Virat Kohli's one-day record is phenomenal. Is an
Yeah,
understatement. Phenomenal. And
yeah,
if he's inching closer to that record of Sachin's, whether he gets there or not is not the point. If he's inching closer, his possibility. I'll tell you a little story. In 2000,
huh,
I've repeated this a billion times, but in 2013 we went to sign Virat in LA for Oakley. And we were sitting there. This is a very important story, Jamie, because Virat
please.
had come with his manager Bunty, and I had come down from Bombay. I was doing the Champions League. I'd gone down just to sign him. And sitting there as a 24-year-old with 9 ODI hundreds under his belt, he sat down and said, "One day मैं तुम्हें पाजी को पकड़ लूंगा." Paji ko pakad lunga. Paji at 49 hundreds. For a boy, 24-year-old boy sitting there saying, I'll get 40 one-day hundreds. Just like
Wow.
that. Not to mention the number of test hundreds I'll get. Goes to show his confidence. Which is why when somebody says Virat Kohli is out of form, I say no, he's not out of form. His mind is not in the right place. He's exactly the Virat Kohli he was. You cannot take away from a man of that ability. You cannot. And he will. I don't think he should stop. See, I think he should, if you ask me, if I'm at all qualified to say something, he should not play T20 internationals. He should play franchise cricket, he should play one day cricket and play test cricket. Because his
That's
one
a
day
big.
record is something that will last for an eternity, and he can break it all. He should.
he should. I mean, this is what we were talking about on the last show कि जिस बंदे ने 10 आध साल के अंदर 70 100 मारे हैं, that is something like in the words of Pragyan Oja, that is unreal. You know, normal people don't do that. बहुत कम है जिन्होंने ये किया था. But it's a lovely story you told. I remember you told this to me before when we met. I forgot about it. I don't know how I forgot about it. But it says, and exactly, you ask anyone on Virat Kohli, majority कहेंगे कि उसके तरफ से कुछ कमी नहीं है. He's not lacking in anything. Same preparation, same thing. बस कुछ कान के बीच में, it's a cliche now, this whole कान के पीछे thing, but उसके बीच something is not right mentally. But the day he clicks, he's the kind of player you want in your team. Even in T20, I think perhaps after T20 World Cup, he will do exactly what you said because he's got a very good record in Australia and at a World Cup. Forget the dwindling strike rate. You do want a player who's capable of what Virat Kohli does.
It's also, Jamie, the fact that skill sets come into play in the longer formats. And Virat's skill set will come into play. He'll be able to express himself more in a format which is longer than in a format where he's expected to deliver instantly. In T20 cricket, if he's out of form, he's meant to go there and start performing instantly. The one day cricket gives him that leeway. It gives him that cushion to settle in and then start performing. It'll help him recover form. It'll help him recover confidence. And it is a format that I think he should play, considering the fact that we've got a World Cup coming at home.
Absolutely right. So again, all these valid fears and concerns about the one day format, we've discussed it all. You made some very apt apt comments. Before we wind up, I always like to sort of go back in the past. I'm someone who loves the 90s, 80s. Your most memorable one day matches, ones which as a child you perhaps made you love the game more, ones which I reference, the cult being born or a legacy being, any personal memories of the one day cricket for you?
Javed Miandad, six of Chetan Sharma, who's currently national
Hoy,
selector.
hoy, 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 hoy.
I can never forget that. I can never forget that. That changed the mindset of Indian cricket for over a decade. They couldn't beat Pakistan.
बिल्कुल सही.
So that match was unbelievable. I will never forget that match. And then the second thing is the tri series, India, Australia, New Zealand, getting up at 5 o'clock and watching that. The very joy of watching. It's 50 over cricket. And by that time at 50, there used to be 200, 250 was a good score back then. So that kind of cricket, watching, getting up early in the morning and watching that series back then in 1985, 86 was something I'll never forget.
Fantastic. I mean, yeah, there's so many matches come to mind. I remember India Pakistan. We don't get to see these guys anymore. And that again, just talking on that, this used to be the premier contest. Ab shayad India Australia has perhaps gone beyond it because India Pakistan don't play. But keeping in mind all that we've discussed, Ashwin, getting tri series and quadrangulars is even perhaps an opportunity for these two teams to resume their cricketing
Of
rivalry as well.
course, of course, of course. It'll improve political ties also. It'll improve the fan following also. It's great for cricket to have these two teams as part of a tri series or of a quadrangular. It's very good. For instance, the Asia Cup. These two teams will play
Yeah.
in the Asia Cup, right? But you need a couple of more strong teams in the, like for instance now Sri Lanka is doing well in Test cricket. They're recovering their feet, but are they doing well in one day cricket? We don't know. So we need
Yeah.
two strong teams. We need at least three strong teams out of four in a quadrangular, right, to make it exciting. So three of the big guys.
Yeah. And even Abhi aapne zikr kiya Asia Cup. Even then, there's some murmurs and rumblings about there's going to be a series with South Africa at the same time. So what team will be sent? This just goes to underline all that we've discussed. कि इस cricket schedule actually, में, in the words of Nasir Hussain, crazy is. We've seen right now one Indian team is playing a Test match, one is playing in Ireland, and a third one, by a large overlap, started the first one-day series against England, and now five guys rested. This is becoming an unfortunate reality that you will have one team perhaps fielding three different teams or one
Correct.
nation fielding three teams.
See, Jamie, it's how you look at it technically. Are you looking at it as a game? Then yes, you will be disappointed. Are you looking at it as a commercial, as a business? Then well, it's justified. So if it's a business, it's justified. If it's a game, then yes, there's an issue. Now the other thing is having seven captains, six captains, or four or five captains in five different series. I mean, there must be a method to the madness, no doubt. But for a layman like me sitting outside, I don't understand. That's what I mean. A captain has his way. A captain has his plan. So if people start following one plan, and then the very next series you have to follow another one, and the third one, and the fourth one. I mean, a leader, there can only be only one leader. You can't have five leaders and pick one out of them. It's not draw of lots.
Very, very, very well said. Well, who knows what will happen with the one day games? As long as fans like you and I are around and all the fans who joined here, I think there's hope for it. But yes, just to sum up, like Ashwin has identified very, very articulately, the ICC and all the board stakeholders need to realize कि भैया हमें इस format के साथ क्या करना है. Ashwin Krishnan, thank you for your time,
Thank you,
taking
Jamie.
out from your schedule. Absolute pleasure, and let's catch up sometime in Delhi soon.
100%. We must. And thank you everyone for supporting the show. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Enjoy
Thanks.
yourselves, everyone.
You too. Thanks.
Bye. Take care. Bye.
Bye.